Hey everybody, in the key of C, I've got a brand new album out now called Behold Electric Guitar. It's one of my best albums of all time. I hope you like it very much. I recorded it in Portland, Oregon. And I recorded it live in the studio. No overdubs, everything is real. I think that just makes it easier to sound good. Nothing, no overdubs to mess it up. And all new original songs that I wrote. And sometimes I'm even playing slide. Well, I sound better than that, so don't worry. All right, so thank you so much. Enjoy Behold Electric Guitar. Woo! All right. One, two, three, four. Whoa! All right, this one is fast and funky, and I'm holding the pick in an unusual way. For most people, for me, it's actually very normal because I did it a long time. I use 2 fingers and the thumb, and I hold the pick like almost like a shadow picture. You're making, hey, I'm an emu. And you put the pick in there, and then it ends up being, you know, sort of like that. And, you know, I'm hitting it pretty hard, and I've got my thumb on A, and the melody is ba-da, ba-da, ba, ba-da-da-da. There's a lot of muting going on because, again, I'm not being careful. I'm hitting it so to get those single notes. That's a little tricky. But anyway, let me do it slow one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, this has got some 5s in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually pretty easy to play. It's this pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first note's D sharp. I don't even know what key this is in. D sharp, then an F sharp, and G sharp. Sorry for all the sharps. Finally, a regular A. And definitely using a hammer-on right there with your pinky. Yeah, out of those 5 notes, there's really only one hammer-on, but it's important to do it there. So you do a downstroke, a hammer-on, and then up, down, up. And then you just, all you do, I'm moving this like in a half-whole pattern where I start in the first fret, then do a half step up, same lick, and then a whole step, and then a whole half step. I bet you guessed it, a whole, a half, a whole. You just keep, you know, going like that. Now, if I put it all together, it'd be 1, 2. Well, actually, I'm not going to put it together because that's not what I do. I leave space. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. At the very end, I shorten it a little bit because I want to end on this specific beat. I go as we always do, but this one, the last one is just 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the one exception. There's a 4 at the end because that puts us where we want to be in the rhythm. One, two, three, 4. There we go. And right on that foot stomp. They are an A13. All right, so we've got this A13 where you bar or the B and the C sharp, you've got a, or I'm sorry, the B and the F sharp. You got a C sharp and a G. Using my thumb for the bass note, doing a little funky rhythm. Then I move it down to just 2 frets to a G13 and an F13. So I'm using the jazz chord with the heavy metal progression. The next time I play, it's like an A sharp chord, or a B, I guess it would be B flat would be a better, I don't know what that is, but it's got, I'll tell you the notes, I'll figure out what it is later. It's got a C in it, an F, another C, and on the bottom we've got a, that'd be like a if this is a B flat, then that'd be an A flat. That lick again. Now this time I don't put spaces in. I just do everything together, and I start a little higher because I don't need as much of the lick, so I shorten a little bit. So this time we start on the 4th fret on that F sharp note and go like that. So one other kind of little medium tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it goes to the James Brown dominant 9 chord. It's a D dominant 9. I had to go to school to learn this chord. I never could figure that out by ear when I was a kid. When I went to school, they showed me the James Brown chord. Ow! So your bar with your 3rd finger, you have that F sharp, a fret lower, and then your 2nd finger plays the root D. And I do a little move. Just slide it up like that, kind of a funky move. And same thing in E. And then I do this crazy 4th lick, which is like, let me play it a little better. There we go. So it's all 4ths, starting with A. You know, I'm stretching a 4th to the E. Then I've got to shift my whole hand down 1 fret, and then we have B and F sharp. And then we can stay there and skip to the A string and play the C sharp and the G sharp. So it's like that. I go all the way down, back up to the E, and then back down. So it just sort of goes no 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 no. Again, heavily dependent on your being able to do pull-offs. I'm not picking everything. That would really tangle it up. And that's that one. All right, I'm going to play something. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Now I'm going to show you this because it goes over 2 chords. The first chord is this, and the second chord is this. They both have D in the bass, but the first chord is actually a C major triad with D in the bass. That's the chord of the 70s, by the way. And then just a straight D major. So those are the 2 chords. And I'm trying to outline those sounds with this arpeggio thing I'm going to show you. And it's just 4 notes for the beginning. It sounds like more than 4 notes, but it's not. It's only 4 notes. They are the C triad, major triad, C, E, G, And I'm adding the ninth. Maybe you can call it the second, whatever you want to call it. It's the D note. So I'm just going up and back down and up, back up again. Like that. And then I do the same thing an octave higher. So. And then we go another octave higher, same 4 notes. And then I've kind of run out of time. The next chord's coming, so I better do a bend. So it sounds like I've got a little breath. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that all goes over. Do, 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 do. It's the same notes as the chord, so this is definitely going to fit. And then for the D, did something kind of similar, but I did a different 4 notes. So I did the D triad, but instead of adding the ninth, I added the 4th. That sounds like this. Typically, I would finger it like that too, with 1 note on a string and 3 notes on a string. But I found a new way to do it, and it opens up some doors. So it's actually 2 notes on a string, same notes, but fingered differently. A little more of a stretch, but it's up higher in the neck, so hopefully you can get it. And then I did the same pattern where I go up and down and up, like that, and then an octave higher. And then at the end, I run out of time, so I need 1 more note. It's going to end on that 3rd. 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of hammer-ons and pull-ups. I'm not picking everything. I don't know if I even could. It would mess it up. It would get tangled up really quick. So it depends heavily on having a strong hammer-on and pull-off, and I put those together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. There's something for you to check out. One, two, three, 4. Something like that. It's 6 notes, and basically I've ended on a G minor chord. I'm doing right there. That's a G minor chord, G minor 7th. And I'm playing a G minor scale, but I'm leaving out 1 note on purpose. I'm leaving out the 6th. I was going to say the major 6th, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter if it's major or minor because it's gone. It's a moot point. So it's if you just played it in G position, you'd have like. That set of notes, the minor scale with no 6th. But I found a 3 note per string pattern that I used, and it was something like this, where I went like that. Again, played over the G minor, and so it's all 3 notes per string. It's all the same shape too. So the first one would be that A, G, F. Then you move. There's a lot of position shifting. You move your hand down 2 frets. And play D, C, and B flat, so like that. And then move down 1 fret, move down 2 frets, stay there, and move down 2 frets. And that's it. So it's the same shape the whole time. You that 2 fret stretch, there it is. You always do that. But you have to jump around. Stay there. And that way you get it sort of emphasizes the 9th, maybe because it starts on it. And all I did is I went down and then up and then down and then up. So how far down do I go? I'll go. Maybe I go down like 3 strings. And then I go back up. and then down 3 strings, and then up 2, and down 3. So it's like down 3 and up 2. That's like. Now it's all time squeeze. I'm just sort of trying to get all those in there and relying a bit on the drums to tell me where the rhythm is, and then trying to get out in time. And I might have started it, I can't remember exactly, but I might have just started it with there so it's easy. So that does have the 6 just for a minute. So that puts me in my position. And then I go and start the pattern that I showed you. So. All right, something like that. All right, poof. This is a tune that starts off in C sharp, and I wanted to have a Dorian sound. And to have Dorian, you've got to have a minor 3rd and a major 6th. And I ended up doing that with these 4 notes. So. That sort of thing. So I'm using mostly 2-note per string patterns to play this sort of thing. And the 4 notes are, let me start from the bottom. E, then I stretch up, that would be a G sharp, then we've got A sharp, and B. It almost looks like an E Lydian kind of lick. But with C sharp in the bass, it becomes more of a Dorian sound. So, now. And then as I try to expand on it, I take these same 2 starting notes and I put those an octave lower. So I'd make right there. So you have to shift your left hand a little bit, like watch. So you got to be able to do that little move. And again, have a pretty strong pull off. It helps to have distortion, so I'm going to use some. But the nice thing, one of the nice things about hammer-ons and pull-offs is that it gives your right hand a little bit of a rest, and you can use that resting time to try to like position your hand to get cool harmonics. Now I said that. Let's see if I can actually do it. So, hear that? I can get those, even though I'm playing fast, I can get like a screaming harmonic. There's the one. So it's 5 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be G sharp. Oh my goodness, so many sharps. F sharp, E, D sharp, C sharp. It starts with an upstroke. We go up, down, 2 pull-offs, and down at the end. So up, down, down, up, down, down. And then the left hand's working and the right hand gets a little break. So you sort of balance those 2 things. That's the trick, is like, whenever one starts running out of energy, you bring the other one in, and that way you can keep playing. So I'll do, this sort of thing where I balance the fast stuff between the 2 hands. I want to give my left hand a rest because it's been working hard. So how do you do that? Like sit on one note and just tremolo pick it. Because then my left hand can go like, oh, I've got a vacation, finally. And the right hand does some work. And then when this is feeling ready to go, then I'll go back to, get it working again. So this is the scale I'm thinking of is a shape. I mean, this isn't, this is just the way I think of it. I spent so much time in my early days playing in minor, natural minor, that this feels That's the wrong word. It looks to me like it's G sharp natural minor or E Lydian. Of course, it's still Dorian, but anyway, we're just, theory confuses things sometimes. My apologies. So anyway. All right, let's talk about the blues. Here's an A note. Here's the minor third. That's kind of a rock note. People who play rock, and I'm certainly one of them, you play a lot of minor thirds, Now, the traditional blues, as I've heard it, sometimes it has that, but often it takes that minor third and either slides it or bends it or somehow hammers it to the major third. So if you're a riff like, that's down minor to major. That bow down. So. And it goes with the chord that your organ player is probably playing, an A7 chord, which has the major third in it. But instead of being like classical and just hitting the notes right on it, it's more bluesy to come up from underneath and to bend up to it, or to hammer, or do a little, trill. That's stylistically more common in blues. And the other one is, in that chord, that A7 chord, you get that G note, and so that's in there too. But if you want to make it a little sweeter sounding, you can add that major six. And the major six, you can hear that if you're doing the rhythm, like. That's just from the fifth, major six, minor seventh, six. So it's just like 5, 6, 7, and they each have kind of an emotion. If you're that's kind of a sweet emotion. The minor seventh, that's a little, a little tougher. So from sweet to tough, those are two emotions right next to each other. So when I wrote this melody, I wanted to start off with that slide to the major third, and then do the sweet major six. That actually goes with your 4 chord. No, 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 no. Major, and then right there, I hit the minor seventh, and I'm tough for a minute. So I went from sweet to tough. So just a little bit of sourness at the end there. And then I made that lick evolve through each chord change. So when it goes to the 4 chord, I changed the note. Now it goes to the C, and that's the 7th of your 4 chord. So no, 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 no. And then your 5 chord, I just hit it right on it. It's an E chord, so I bent to E. And then a little minor blues. And then that's your 4 chord notes. So, and then a little, minor pentatonic to end it. And that's my riff. And it's important that it shuffles. It's got to have a swing. All right, this one's in the key of A. I like this one. Let me do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. right, this one, you've got to work for this one. Left hand does not have an easy job, but it has a very enjoyable job, and that's to just keep these trills going. Now, you can get that done. I'm using my pinky. I'm a player that's played with my pinky a lot, so I'm willing to do it. But if you'd rather use your third finger, that's not a bad choice either. So whatever feels good for you. And then I go to my Jimmy Page lick. That's one of the best licks in the world. That's a bend up, and then you drop it, then you do pull-off. The pull-off's really important. I've taught this a lot, and so many people forget the pull-off. You got to make sure that note is real strong. So I'm only picking the first note, but I'm getting 3 notes. That you hear. Make sure it's not just that pull-off has to be strong. How do you do it? Like, how do you make a pull-off strong? I think it comes from the wrist, a little twist. So if you're trying to the thumb's got to be over. That'll put your wrist in the right position so your wrist can help the finger. Finger can't do it on its own, it's just not powerful enough. Watch Jimmy Page do this. I bet his thumb's over too. All right, so after that you hit an A, like that. I spent time on this because it's important. All right, so we combine that with the trill. Now the groove is like a shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I'm working for that, and the transition is tricky too because you're working as hard as you can to make that happen. All of a sudden, you got to jump out of it into a bend. So now I should mention that the bend is the giant finger. What is the giant finger? That's when you take 3 fingers and put them together, and that way it puts your wrist in a good position. Again, thumbs over. I want to see when I do the trill. Even that my thumb is over, so if you're trying to get your thumb over, the one thing with this is you want to use some distortion. I'm going to put on even more distortion to make it easier. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you want to, if your hand just runs out of energy and you need to keep it going, you could always do a tap. That's for the 4 chord, those notes. When you hit the D, you can go. So that's F sharp and A. And then if you go up here, G sharp and B, that's for your E chord. And that's your thing. So that's a nice way to get through a blues progression. Your 1 chord is this one. Your 4 chord is 2 frets up. And your 5 chord is another 2 frets up. So you can get through the whole blues progression just by moving your hand in those 2 fret moves. You just got to have a strong pull off, and that comes from thumb over and wrist driving your fingers. All right. All right, I'm going to talk about the slide. I've got a slide magnet on many of my guitars now, and so the slide just sticks on there. And the first thing to do is just find your major triad. That's easy enough to do. It's just a bar across. And I'm using standard tuning. A lot of the real slide players, they do some special tuning. But with my slide magnet, I want to be able to go back to my regular guitar licks and back and forth. So step 1 is find a vocal melody that you hear in your head. You can pick the song you already know or write one. And here's the melody that I like. It's in the key of E, and I wrote it actually. No 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 oh no 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 oh down 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 down. So that's That's the thing. I mean, I think some guitar players, they don't want to sing, but I love to sing. And then I just sing with my guitar. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's trying to play what I heard in my head. And I guess one of the main things is you're thinking horizontally a lot, as opposed to vertically. You know, if you learn scales on guitar, those tend to be very vertical. You stay in one position. Your hand is sort of in one position. But for this, it's much more, playing the scale like, doing it this way. And a lot of times you don't play every note. One of the main things to be able to do is to go from your root to the lower or the higher fifth, like that sort of thing. So let's see if that happens on my melody. If I'm starting, it's in the key of E, so actually I'm starting on the fifth, which is B, and then ba, ba, and I'm trying to slide into things. And right there, there's a big jump from the fifth to the root. Now, if you were playing your scale, you'd have all those extra notes. So you don't really need those. The melody sounds nicer when you just go right from the fifth to the root. Now you got to jump up there, and then I finally do the scale notes. Now that's another big jump. So I had to go from here on the 8th fret all the way down to the 4th fret because I want to come under. That's the way singers sing. They would do that swoop. It's not like a piano where you just hit the note right on it. Although with the piano you could also do a little, note before. Then I go to that minor chord. So that's the thing. Is a lot of it really starts in your ears. You just, you have to have a little bit of the soul of a singer inside of your ears, and that will guide you. Now, the other thing is muting as you go. For example, if I want to sustain a note, that's a lot of sustain. So I'll grab the other strings with this hand. If I didn't do that, if I just let it, if I didn't use my right hand, I would just be like, it starts to get really noisy. So I use my fingers and I grab the other strings. So just that one note, that's the only one that's able to come through because I'm holding them like that. All right, so there's a slide lesson for you. This one is a guitar riff, and then I had the keyboard player, Asher Falero, play that on his keyboard, and that way I could take my vocal melody, which was like so I took that vocal melody and then played it with the slide. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the first note? There it is. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There it is, coming back to me now. But anyway, to get good vibrato on the slide, I mean, it's different because to get good vibrato without the slide, it really comes from the wrist, you know, playing, where you're shaking the wrist around, and the thumb is over, you know, if you're bending up. But for vibrato with the slide, I'm more behind the neck, you know, my thumb is back here, and I guess in a way it's more like classical, where you're moving, you know, I mean, with classical. But anyway, with the slide, it's more of a horizontal move. And I keep my thumb connected to the back of the neck, and it sort of gives me a, so I don't move too much. If my thumb's not there, you know, I might go too much. So I just sort of get my thumb loosely on the guitar, and then shake that around a little bit. Now the melody I'm playing is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So the very first jump, is that I'm playing a low E, and then I do a little slide up to the C sharp. And again, I'm imitating my vocal, so you know, if I have a fast phrase like they put a hole in, you know, so I'm bup, and to do that, I'm kind of like mute picking, and I do that a lot in this song, you know. You know, really don't care. That's that phrase, really don't care. It's kind of fast. You know? And another thing with vibrato is it tends to, it sounds good sometimes to not do it at first. You know, you just like hit the note with no vibrato. So if you go like, and then you bring it in. Let me see another spot where I do that from the beginning, like. So wet now. That even has like a short note and then a long note. Here I brought it in slowly. I'm really thinking, I'm using the part of my brain that is a singer, you know. And I was my own worst enemy. And I ain't no more. I'm seeing very clearly now. Was it no? Never did before. Now, the kind of thing about guitar is, you know, that's kind of lower melody, but if I want to go up an octave, like. You know, that's much higher than I can sing. So, you know, suddenly I've got, you know, a much higher range. You know, I can get up and, you know, do some Mariah Carey notes if I want to. They're all up there, you know. That's a really high note. You know, like, I can't get that with any kind of tone or consistency, but with guitar, even that one, you know, that's, with my voice, I can't rely on that, but on guitar, you know, I can just play that all day and it sounds beautiful. So that's very motivating to me to be able to get like the notes and the soul of a great singer, even, you know, with a better instrument. So that's the wonderful thing about slide. All right, I'm going to have a good time in the key of C. 1, 2, let's see. is a tune that has a melody, and sometimes I play it with my fingers. I might go to the pick sometimes. I keep my pick there inside my fingers, so if I need it, I can get to it quick. So, there's my pick right there, and I put it back there, and then I can use my fingers, and then, it's a quick little move like that. So, fingers have a little softer sound, so it's nice if you want to dynamically keep it a little lower. It also makes it easy to mute the other strings, because you can use that part of your hand to mute, and then you have that little pluck. And sometimes I use my thumb too. It's sort of like a combination of these two. So maybe a good way to practice it, you can just go go between those two strings, the thumb, like a downstroke, and the first finger like an upstroke. Well, anyway, the melody I'm doing, you can see right there the thumb, and then the first finger. Back to the thumb. So it helps me, just get between those two strings without having to do all thumb or all first finger. And then sometimes I'll throw in a little percussive ghost note. So just like that little thing to sort of keep the groove going. So like there, that little percussive thing. Make it ba-da, doo, ba-da, ba-da, doo, ba-da. 1, 2, 3. So and of course, anytime you want to, you can switch back to the pick and get a little sharper, when the drums kick in, you might want to, if the drummer starts hitting hard, then you got to go back to the pick. But if the drummer is down nice and soft, you can use the fingers. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to my ideas today at Young Guitar Magazine. It's been years that I have had the honor of appearing in the pages of Young Guitar. I'm always happy to be here, and I hope you keep playing guitar. I hope you stomp your foot, find something to stomp on to make some noise, and then when you play, you gotta just gives meaning to everything, and or find a good drummer or both. Anyway, that's my advice, and hope to be in Japan sooner than later to play some of these songs live. And I'm just having the best time playing guitar lately. So I hope you would enjoy listening to me having such a good time playing the electric guitar. All right, rock and roll!